Penang Digital Library started with a two-story bungalow. It used to be a residence, and it sits on 1 acre land of tall, shady trees with chirping birds. The ambience was so inspiring that I decided, all of this had to stay, and we transformed the old bungalow, added on a new annex of a 2.5 story of new hall on the far right, and reading spaces for the 2 story of the annex. We were very careful not to overpower the old building, and we kept the new annex as a humble addition. We also created this central lawn that you see, because I believe there should be a foreground before you enter the building, and it's been a very welcoming open space for children, because from 9 to 11 easily this space is shaded by the tall trees from the morning sun coming from the right hand side of the photo. And the sunlight also gave us what money can't buy, beautiful patterns of shadows falling in place on these corridors of the new annex. These shots were taken from the morning sun on the left, at midday, and then at late afternoon on the right hand side of the photo. So we also created a public ramp, a high volume flying roof, natural ventilated. We call this Wisdom Street, and it's been really great to see that since it opened in January 2019, this place has been hosting events, book events, exhibitions. And next to Wisdom Street, we actually restored the servant quarters, which we converted into a bakery. We designed a new single-story pavilion for all-day dining, throw in a playground, because we believe this is the best time to redefine that library as a place where everyone could come and enjoy. And we also did the same shadow play for the interiors. We introduced this long, simple skylight where beautiful patterns will appear, and it is not for the whole day, probably just a few, probably at midday, that you see this happening. And when it opened in 2019, it was received great response. Turnout was fantastic. Youth and students were suddenly all raring to come to the library again, and we were really humbled to see that the community could really appreciate our simple intervention and honest expressions of nature through simple lines and shadow play. And if you do visit this place, come at around 12:30, and then these words will magically appear from the sun movement, and then it will disappear as it moves on. So moving on to the second project, this is Harmony Center. This building was built 1880, easily about 140-year-old. Again, it sits on a really spacious lawn of 1.5 acre, and the client wanted us to add a hall, a public hall, a community hall for religious groups. And the interior spaces were not as ideal as we wish. It's fairly good condition, but it's dark. I had a lot of closed rooms, closed walls. There was low ceiling, and my immediate instinct is we really had to open up these spaces, and we created this indoor balcony where children could really play barefoot on artificial carpet grass, brought in natural ventilation. I'm always going for natural ventilation in public buildings, because it is one of the passive way to save energy. And we also designed this logo for the client. We moved out all the panels, we cleared the carpet on the floor, and we introduced a lot of natural lighting to make the space a bit more welcoming, very honest expressions of the original space. And the previously all the meeting rooms were always enclosed. We opened up all the walls, all the timber panels were removed, rip it up, and kept the timber studs. And in a very simple, inexpensive intervention, we created this seminar room. And the natural lighting came from our simple stroke of transformation. We created a skylight. You can't see from the top because it's high up from the jack roof. And the skylight became the most impactful intervention that we did to this bungalow. So stepping out the existing bungalow, we added a hall, and I refused to do a simple box. So we made sure that it's in harmony to the old building. We borrowed lines of the old roof lines, and we made sure that it's never overpowering to the original building. And over here, this is part of the new hall. I call this accordion wall, where we line up the both sides of the hall, one wall, one solid wall, zigzagging with a window in alternating rhythm. Because I wanted this natural lighting ambience again for the hall. If you pay attention to the ceiling, there's no single light fitting up in the ceiling. Those light strips are all skylight, natural lighting. This photo is taken, without filter. So we're glad that this is one way to kind of like push our creativity to design something within a very tight budget. We also created like a pocket garden, a secret garden at the back of the bungalow. We sprinkle swings, to bring back the whole nostalgia of playing in the kampong, village like community activities can take place here. And with these two projects, we really feel humbled and to discover the joy, the pain and joy of transforming old houses. And we hope that by now we remember that old buildings are, stories to tell for generations to come. And every one of it has special possibilities to happen. Thank you.